Hi, it's Emma here from Women's Health and Hormones. Today I wanted to talk to you about why your symptoms are really just the tip of the iceberg. For women who are suffering from a hormonal imbalance, the symptoms can be quite varied, going from symptoms like acne, mood swings, fatigue, hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia, weight gain, especially abdominal weight gain or weight that's difficult to shift, low libido. These are some of the classic symptoms of hormonal imbalance. Even changes with hair growth, healthy hair, skin and nails are quite common as well. So they are the symptoms that your body's presenting with. They're the obvious things that you can see on the surface that are telling us that your hormones are probably out of balance. But what I want you to think about is the fact that those symptoms are just what you can see. It's really just the tip of the iceberg. In order to get to the point where you see long-term improvements in your hormonal regulation and long-term improvements in your health and well-being, it's really important to have take a deeper dive and have a look at what's going on underneath the surface of the iceberg, underneath the surface of the water. Because if you can identify and address the underlying root causes that are causing your hormonal imbalance in the first place, you're going to have a much better chance of actually getting your body back into balance and seeing those improvements long term. So addressing those underlying root causes are really what will lead to long-term improvements in your symptoms and your health and well-being. So if we look at that first step there, the first step, if we take that deeper dive underneath the surface of the water, the first step is figuring out what your hormonal blueprint is. You want to try and find out exactly where your hormones are at, because then we can be really specific in the prescription of the right herbs and nutrients to rebalance your body. It takes all the guesswork out of the picture, and we can figure out exactly where your body's at, which is different for every woman. That's why I love natural medicine. Natural medicine's completely individualized. We love taking a holistic approach and tailoring treatment according to your unique presentation and your unique hormonal blueprint. So that's step one. Step two, have a look at what's going on with your stress levels. Stress has a huge impact on the way our bodies are able to balance our hormones. Sometimes we ask the question, is it the chicken or is it the egg? Are your hormones out of whack because you've had a lot of stress in your life? Or is the fact that your hormones are out of balance causing you stress? And it definitely works in both ways. And when we're looking at stress, we can actually measure what's going on with your stress hormones, which can give us an idea of what stage of the stress response your body might be sitting in at the moment. And we measure the hormones cortisol and DHEAS as well to help with that. So stress is really important. You can't underestimate the impact that stress could potentially be having on your hormonal production. The bugs that live in your gut are really important too. The gut microbiota. The healthy bugs that live in your gut help your body digest foods, absorb nutrients, eliminate waste products, and also eliminate excessive hormones from the system. So if you don't have enough healthy bugs living in your gut to do these jobs properly, hormones and waste products will be reabsorbed from the bowel back into the bloodstream, and it really perpetuates the cycle of imbalance in the body. The bugs in our gut can go out of whack for a wide range of reasons, a wide range of circumstances, but the most common one is probably a prescription of antibiotics. So if you've needed to take antibiotics for another reason, it's very common for the very next cycle after you've had the antibiotics for you to start to experience a flare-up or exacerbation of a hormonal imbalance. Even symptoms like breast tenderness and mood changes can be directly linked to antibiotic usage. So you really want to focus on improving the health of your gut microbiome, and that in turn will allow your body to process hormones and waste products more efficiently, which will make you feel a hell of a lot better. If your gut microbiome goes out of whack and you don't have as many healthy bugs living in your gut as you should, it also impacts your body's ability to digest foods and absorb nutrients. And we know that nutritional deficiencies can also be an underlying root cause of hormonal imbalance. The most common nutrients involved here are magnesium, B vitamins, essential fatty acids, and also phytonutrients and antioxidants. And so we really want to make sure that you've got all your nutritional bases covered, and even just some simple prescriptions of nutrients can go a long way to resolving a hormonal imbalance. If there's changes in inflammation in your body, we know that can also act as a precursor for hormones being out of whack. And just like we were saying with the stress before, is it the chicken or is it the egg? When your hormones go out of whack, it predisposes you to an increase in inflammation or those inflammatory mediators in your body as well. So this is something to consider, especially if part of your symptoms are linked to pain. So if you have hormonal headaches and migraines, period pain, the breast tenderness again, if you have musculoskeletal aches and pains that are worse in the premenstrual phase, or for women who are perimenopausal, who are suffering from a lot of musculoskeletal aches and pains, we need to really understand and address what's going on in the inflammatory status of your body and help your body flick from a pro-inflammatory pathway over to an anti-inflammatory pathway, and that'll go a long way to helping you feel so much better and relieving those symptoms which were at the tip of the iceberg. We know that life transitions obviously predispose us to symptoms of hormonal imbalance as well, and the key times in a woman's life when we're most likely to start to notice our hormones going out of whack are at adolescence and also during the perinatal phase, around the time we're having babies, and perimenopausally too. So we need to get an understanding of what stage or what phase of life your body's in, and that can also help with tailoring your treatment and getting you those long-term improvements. And finally, genetics. We know that women who have a variety of reproductive and hormonally driven conditions, there's often a genetic tendency there. We also know that the age that your mum went through menopause, it seems to be a factor in the age that you'll go through menopause. So genetics do play a role, but there's this wonderful new field of research which is called epigenetics that looks at the influence of dietary and lifestyle factors on our genetic makeup. And we now know that just because you're born with a certain set of genes, it doesn't necessarily mean it's your destiny to walk down that pathway. There's so much that can be done to influence the way your body's switching on and switching off your genes. And most of that's lifestyle, environment, things that are within our control. So we can't, the genetics is definitely part of the picture, but there are things that we can do about it. And don't forget about the changing world that we're living in now. We're exposed to so many more endocrine disrupting chemicals through our environment and our food chain nowadays. And we also believe that, the research is now indicating that that's probably one of the leading reasons why the incidence of hormonal imbalance has increased so much in the last 20 years. It's due to this increased exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals. So we need to clean out your environment as best we can to minimize the impact of these endocrine disrupting chemicals, and then also make sure that your liver's functioning as best that it can, because it's your liver's job to help your body detoxify these endocrine disrupting chemicals, but also detoxify your own natural hormones as well. So we need to make sure that we support the pathways of detoxification in your liver, and because that will in turn lead to really good long-term resolution of hormonal imbalance. If what I've spoken about today is of interest to you and you feel like you'd like to uncover a little bit more about this iceberg and what your symptoms could be telling you about what else is going on in your body, you might be interested in downloading a digital copy of my book, The Hormone Breakthrough. In the Hormone Breakthrough book, I talk a lot about this idea of the iceberg and identifying and addressing underlying root causes of hormonal imbalance. So if that's interesting for you, just go to www.balancehormones.com.au/book and you'll be able to download a copy of the book there. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye for now.